If you want to make a delicious smoked chicken on a pellet grill, here's what you need to do. Start by filling up a pot with 8 cups of water and turn it to high heat. Add in 1 cup of kosher salt and 1 cup of brown sugar, 1/8 of a cup of whole black peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of sage, dried thyme, and basil, followed by a few bay leaves. Let this cook and stir it frequently until all the seasonings are dissolved into the water. Next, we're going to add 8 cups of ice to a brining bucket. Then we will dump the hot brine into that bucket. You never want to put chicken into hot brine. That's why we dump the hot brine over the ice. It'll cool it off immediately so that way you can get your chicken in the brine. The goal is to brine this for at least 8 hours, but I like to do mine overnight, probably closer to 16. The next day, take your chicken out of the brine and rinse it with cold water. Now that we have that excess salt and sugars rinsed off of our chicken, we got it on this little board. And right now I'm just gonna trim off any of the excess fat or pieces of skin that's hanging really loose. And once it is done, we are gonna get some seasoning on this bird, let it sit for about 15 minutes just for that salt to penetrate into the meat. Then we're gonna get it onto our smoker. But for right now, let's get to trimming. It's not actually gonna make our chicken taste any better, but some of the skin that hangs off over the crevice right here is just gonna look weird and nasty when we're done cooking it. So I just like to trim it off. You could choose not to trim the chicken at all, but I like to do it probably just for more OCD reasons. I always start out by seasoning the back side of the bird. Chicken skin is pretty touchy when you're seasoning it, and I've noticed that it rubs off really easy or it kind of gets all smeared. Once the back is seasoned, flip it so that way the breasts are facing upwards, which is the way that we're going to be laying this chicken on the smoker. We season it in this order so that way we don't have to touch it a bunch of times and get our hands all over it. Apply the seasoning as evenly as you possibly can. You can kind of take your hand and rub it side to side to get seasoning in those little cracks that are just really hard to get to with the bottle. Hey guys, today we are back at my pit boss. I know it has been a really long time since we have been out here, but I got this thing cranked up today because as you see behind me, I got a couple other things cooking back there. So I'm trying to do, several things at one time. Today we are putting our whole chicken on the pit boss. I have it going at 300 degrees using some pit boss pellets. It is a hickory and oak blend. There's nothing left to do, but let's just open this up and let's get our chicken on there. Okay, so now that we have our chicken on here, I am going to insert a probe and we're gonna set it to pull when the breast hits 162 degrees. That carryover is gonna be a couple degrees. It'll totally be safe. I have no idea how long it's gonna take. We're just gonna set our alarm. We're gonna let this ride the whole time. I'm not gonna open it. I'm not gonna spray it. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna pull it when the breast is at 162 degrees. Our timer just hit 162 degrees and I'm gonna go ahead and open up this pit boss and I'm just gonna verify with my thermopen that we've actually hit 162 degrees, and as you guys can see, we're right on the money. Our probe, our thermopen, they're both matching up. These tools are great things to have if you wanna make really quality food. I'll go ahead and I'll have links down in the description if you wanna grab them both. It took about 2 hours and 5 minutes for us to complete our cook today. Now this pit boss always seems to run hot on the right side, and I've definitely had some temperature swings today. My pit boss typically cooks a little bit hotter than what it says it is, so this cook might be mimicking more closer to 325 degrees if you're trying to cook by time. I'm just making this chicken today a little bit on the hotter side because I wanted to get a nice crispy skin. I'm not too particular about smoke flavor. If you want to have really heavy smoke in your chicken, smoke this at 200 degrees. But I like my skin to be a little bit more crispy, so I like to smoke it a little bit hotter sometimes. I'm gonna let this rest for about 15 minutes, then I'll dig in. I am so happy with how this smoked chicken turned out. The rub gave us a beautiful red color, and the high temp of my pit boss gave us a nice crispy finish. We want to let this smoked chicken rest for 15 to 20 minutes before we carve into it, and if you do smoke your chicken just right, the bones are going to be falling out just like this. We are now at my favorite part of the video where I get to eat all this delicious food, and I'd be lying to you if I didn't already try a bite. I did, and it's delicious. As you guys could see when I was carving up this chicken, I could just pull the bones right out of these wings. This is not make-believe. This is hands-on one of the best chickens I have ever made. This brine is an absolute game changer. I've made plenty of chickens without brining them, and they turn out great every single time, but the brine adds such a deep flavor into the chicken. It is like the whole entire breast is just full of that salt, that sugar, all those herbs that we put in there. We smoked this at a higher temperature, rendered out all that fat in the chicken. This is just delicious. Without further ado, I'm gonna pick up this drumstick right here and I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite. This Dirty Bird rub from Kosmos is amazing. It has such a herby flavor mixed in with those salt and those sugars. I love it when I bite into a piece of chicken like this and my lips just get covered with salt. It has a tiny little bit of a kick to it too. It says it on the bottle and it wasn't lying. And this is the wing that I tore off earlier where the bones didn't just fall out, but I bet I could probably just make them fall out. There we go, we got one. Where's my other bone? Two. My bone broke, but as you guys can see, it just falls apart. This is chicken that is cooked to perfection. So I tried the drumstick, I have tried the wing. Now it is time for me to take this chicken breast, which is so juicy, by the way. I absolutely love how this turned out. If you can get breast to be juicy, you're a winner in my book, because it's always very difficult to do. It just pulls right apart. It is super tender. Brining it helps, and also cooking it to only 162 degrees helps. I've seen people go as low as 160. I'm not that cool yet. I like to do it at 162 just to play it safe, because I'm terrified of eating chicken that's raw. And I'm making this for friends and family, and I don't want them to not like me anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite and see how it is. I tell you what, if you guys make this for your friends, for your family, you're gonna be a hero, a champion. They're gonna ask you to make this at every single cookout. This is absolutely delicious. I'll make sure I put the recipe in the description box along with all the things that I use to make this recipe happen. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way I can afford to keep making these chickens for you, not for me. I'm doing this for you, I promise. Not for me at all. If you guys want to check out another great video that I have in my channel, click this video right here. As always, I'll see you guys in my next smoked chicken.